We're back here again, coming off this beautiful weekend into the next week. About to go to work. I'm just waffling here. UFC, I think 309. It is John Jones versus Stipe in the main event. Co-main is Michael Chandler versus Charles Oliveira. And just underneath that's Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. Pretty interesting. People had a bit of problems with the main event, saying how Jones really should be fighting Aspinall because Aspinall is the interim champion, and they're just calling this more of a legacy fight than an actual UFC heavyweight championship fight. Regardless, it's happening. This was meant to happen ages ago, but it's now happening this week. And I'm just thought I'll give my quick little predictions of what I think is going to happen for those three fights. And the problem is with the main event and the co-main is that the fighters haven't fought in age. Charles Oliveira was the one to fight the most recently out of the two, and even that was like 6 months ago or something like that. But he's the best one to gauge off right now when it comes to actually giving a proper prediction. But I'll start off with Bo Nickel and Paul Craig. Paul Craig coming down from light heavyweight to middleweight. He's been at middleweight for a while now. I do like Paul Craig, but honestly, I think he's just another step in the stone for the hype train that is Bo Nickel. I think most people are going to pretty much do the same bet as I do. But yeah, I think Bo Nickel's just going to run through Paul Craig like a packet of salt and pepper. It's going to be absolutely disgusting. Round one finish. That's what I'm going to put. Round one finish by Bo Nickel. That's my official prediction for that. Next, for Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler. I really like Michael Chandler. I think he's a really cool dude. He's had an awesome career. Not so awesome in UFC. He's still only won 2 fights in the UFC. But every fight he's been in has been absolutely amazing to watch. He's got such a good personality. He seems like a really cool dude. Really nice guy, family man, but works hard and he's real motivational, good speaker. I just really enjoy that. I really enjoy Michael Chandler. I think he's a good dude. I do love Charles Oliveira as well. He's such a nice personality as well, and how he was in the UFC for a long time, not making any waves, and he becomes champion. Yeah, both these guys are really cool. I would love to see Michael Chandler get the win over Charles Oliveira, because I would love to see him in that title picture again. But honestly, my official prediction for this one would be Charles Oliveira. I'm going to put by submission. Charles Oliveira by submission. Purely because Charles has already beaten Michael Chandler once. Michael Chandler, I do love him. He has been out this whole time waiting for that McGregor fight, which has been years at this point. I feel really bad for him. And maybe that time out could be really good for him. And he might come back and just absolutely annihilate Charles. But to me, I got to go with the facts. He's been out for a long time. And Charles he did lose his last fight, but it was a split decision, very close loss. And he does have a win over Michael already. So I'm going to put Charles Oliveira submission. I'm not going to put a round on that. Just Charles Oliveira submission. But I want Michael Chandler to win. Main event, John Jones, Stipe. Stipe hasn't fought since DC. Versus Daniel Cormier like years ago. Jones hasn't fought since he fought Cyril Gane a year ago. I don't know. It's hard to keep track. And even then, he only fought for less than a round. And before that, he hadn't fought in years. And that fight was the first time coming up with heavyweight, and you didn't really get to see him tested in that. Like, he did move all right. He did seem a little slow, but he did actually get the counter, takedown, eventual submission against Cyril Gane. But it's almost like it does count, but it almost doesn't count to actually see what he's like at the heavyweights. And who knows what Stipe's like right now. We can only go off what his last fight was against DC, which his last fight was against Ngannou. And he was knocked out. So, gosh, at this point, who bloody knows what's going to happen? you're going to have to put John Jones. I'm going to have to put him by submission. Actually, no. I changed that. I'm going to put John Jones by decision. He's the GOAT. Stipe is the GOAT of the heavyweights, they call him. But we can only go off the last fights, really. And Stipe coming off that knockout loss. But who knows, this time away could come back even better. Same as Michael Chandler. But Jones just knows how to win. I do think he's the greatest of all time. And I know he looks slower, but I genuinely do think he can still find that way to win. I reckon this might be a bit more of a boring fight, because both these guys are probably slowed down by this point, but I think it's going to be a decision by Jones. So overall, Bo Nickel, first round, we'll go submission. First round submission. Charles Oliveira, we're going to go submission in any round, I'm not sure. And the main event, I'm going to put John Jones by decision. That's my predictions. This one was a hard one because of the time breaks between each fighters, but we can only go off either our gut feeling and what they have been with our last fight and what they look like currently. Thank you as always, guys. That's my official predictions for UFC 309, and I'll catch you in the next one.